How does a man like Will Smith end up with a Jada Pinkett Smith? A man who is that successful, who has essentially reached every goal that he ever set out for himself. A man with more money than time. A man who essentially will be desirable to a whole lot of women on this planet. How does this guy end up with that creature? Now, there's two parts to this, at least for me personally, how I see it. I see it as, how does a Will Smith get with a Jada? How does any man end up with a woman like Jada, a narcissistic, self-absorbed, control freak? And I say you end up with that type of individual due to a lack of discernment. But what's more important is, how do you end up staying with a woman like that? Which is Will's honest problem. It's one thing if he had gotten with her, but it's another thing that he has stayed for decades at this point. And the answer to that is simple. You end up staying with a Jada Pinkett Smith when you do not have a sense of self-respect. That's the issue. And unfortunately, there are a lot of men and a lot of women walking around this earth who may have a genuinely good heart. They genuinely want what is best for everybody around them, but they do not have a sense of self-respect. They do not see themselves as somebody who is valuable. Now, the reason I bring up Jada and Will this far into the conversation, they've been irrelevant for a while, is because there have been stories coming up that Will is going to be in a new Men in Black film, which I love the Men in Black series as far as, the ones that Will is in, right? Bad Boys, Men in Black, my shit. You understand me? Fresh Prince, I probably watch every single episode. I have genuine affinity for the man and was disappointed throughout my life by him. But still, as far as his craft, so long as he's not on the real Diddy list, then we can be cool. Like I can still consume your artwork. But there's this call to action to bring a new Men in Black. And there's been, delays and things of that nature, as it tends to be within that entire Hollywood machine. It's a lot of moving pieces. There's a lot of money being moved around. So Will demanded $100 million for this thing. I believe $100 million, if it wasn't a little more. And he almost broke the deal, which means he almost signed that deal, until Jada's bald-head ass steps in and says, but what about me? I gotta be, first of all, I'm like, are y'all living together? What the hell's going on? Why? What did she have on you, Will? Why is she still around? But nevertheless, Will listens to her and he goes to the studio and says, listen, like, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? No, he says, we need to get Jada in this movie. And they're like, I don't know. Okay, fine. And he's like, yeah, we need to give her some real serious paper. And he's like, we have a limited budget, etc. Long story short, he ends up blowing up because they will not take her. They don't want the liability. They know this woman right here she is a PR disaster on 2 feet. She is, what's her name? Rachel Zegler, the Snow White chick. She is that in matured form. I don't mean matured as in like emotionally, mentally mature. I mean as in old form. She is the older version of Zoe or Rachel Zegler. I shouldn't even know her name. Unfortunately, I do because of all the damn controversy. That's bad PR. So there's a rejection on Sony's part for Jada. Will blows up, whatever, and that ends up getting like $30 million sliced off the top. So now they're like, okay, Will, like we're barely able to do the 10 or 100 million. Now we're going to do the 70 million. And so, poor Will has to settle for 70 million. But the reason I bring that up is, again, this brought back to mind. I said, now, wait a minute. This woman who has disrespected you time and time again in the public eye, which it doesn't matter that if it was public or not. You don't need your girl to have embarrassed you stepping on that damn stage, grinding on Chris Brown in order for it to mean something. They disrespect you in your personal life. If you have enough self-respect, you're going to walk from that situation. However, this man has simply not developed the necessary backbone as a man, the necessary level of self-love, as we oftentimes refer to it in this generation, right? To have enough value for yourself to say, you know what? This is a toxic situation. This is a toxic woman. And I have work to do Because I never just subscribe everything or ascribe everything to one person. If you find yourself in toxic relationship after toxic relationship, or in just one that you can't leave, like when I was in a very tumultuous toxic relationship, at the end of it, I had to check myself to say, why the hell did I stay for so long? Oh, because I'm a people pleaser. Oh, because I have a savior complex. Oh, because I believe that it was my duty to save this person who had such a traumatic past. And so I stepped in to be their superhero. Oh, it's because I actually lack a level of self-validation. I need to be validated by others by doing things for them. And I can't actually just be who I am and let that be enough. When I started to figure these things out, folks, my life started changing drastically for the better. Drastically. Like literally night and day difference. I now got my real wifey with me, and life is lovely indeed. But that came as a byproduct of me respecting myself enough to say, I'm not just going to put up with whatever because I feel like I'm not adequate, I'm not worthy, I'm not deserving. And there's a lot of folks walking out, again, men and women, who are walking out with low self-respect. Somebody cheat on you and you stay. That's a display. That's a obvious display of a lack of self-respect. You do not respect yourself if you stay with somebody who can't even respect you. Somebody who promises to be loyal to you and then they step out on you. I don't give a damn what excuses somebody has. I believe there are zero justifications for infidelity for men and women. Zero. That's my tolerance. Zero. I had 3 fingers up by accident. Zero. Nothing. Nada. There is no level of justification for such a behavior. And if you are a cheater, then you are a narcissist. And if you're a justifier of cheating, then you are a sociopath. That's how that works. You are a genuine sociopath. You have dark triad tendencies. If you can betray the person that you lay up with, that you promise yourself to, and walk around here like everything is sweet, honky fucking dory, that's crazy. But I digress. Back to subject number 1 over here, Miss Jada Ballhead Smith. And mind you, she's grown her hair back now. I wonder how that happened. I thought she had alopecia, but I guess, Chris done joked her hair back into existence. So sis has time and time again found ways to keep this symbiotic relationship going. Because to understand the narcissist, you have to understand the codependent, right? And I used to make a lot of content around this mindset, relationships, etc. And there's my roots are in there. I just started to broaden the conversation out and get more honest about some of these things, which I used to be more afraid to speak of. Social things, race, etc. Personal agency. Stop making fucking excuses. That's regular type of stuff. But in order to understand the will, because we have to understand ourselves, because any of us can be the Will Smith. Again, man or woman, any of us can find ourselves as being the one who is addicted to rejection, the one who is essentially addicted to this, always constantly chasing somebody's love, constantly chasing somebody's approval, somebody's validation, right? And a Jada, the narcissistic individual, will continue kind of like that succubus energy. They will continue to strip you of your life force because that's all they know. So it's a perfect relationship. You are equally yoked in that relationship. One is they need to be needed and the other one needs to need. So this one is a vacuum and this one is a constant quote unquote giver. Mind you, people pleasers are the most resentful people on the planet because you have no boundaries. You don't know what is no. That's why when you see Will, you see him around that woman, jaw clenched up. And then finally, sometimes you see a little bit of that come out, and then you also see it projected onto others, i.e. Chris Rock, who got rocked on that stage at the Oscars some years ago, right? That was that pent-up frustration, that pent-up resentment. So you start to express it, or it starts to leak out, and you start to project it onto others who are not even a part of that. It's like when you had a terrible sequence of events back to back to back to back to back, and then you end up lashing out on somebody who had nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with it. You're projecting your own internal state onto something else in order to try to ease or soothe yourself, but it only ends up making the situation worse. And so, again, bringing the context of a will and bringing us into the conversation is to say, when you find yourself with a Jada, because I know there's a lot of folks out there with a Jada in their life and they're not able to leave. I'm telling you, the reason why you feel you cannot leave is not for every reason you're telling yourself. It's because you still have the need to be needed. And so you have not actually auto-corrected the aspect of you that says, I don't need somebody's external validation to be enough. I don't need somebody to tell me I'm adequate. I don't need to constantly chase. You become the type of person who, when somebody is loving you for you, you reject them. When somebody is rejecting you, you attach to them. You run from the person that is showing you love and you attach yourself to the person that could give a damn about you. That you ain't worth the $3 bill to them. Do not end up as a will. Do not be a will, folks. Don't do it.
I used to be afraid of the dark, a place unknown like a hardening heart. I used to see my life in the bar. Now the kids unchained, every shackle is lost. 2 steps in the moonlight, 2 step in the daytime. You just know when it feel right. You got a feeling the time's not. See you through those shades that I just threw on. Through my lenses, you just can't do no wrong. I fell in love with myself again. I fell in love with myself. I fell in love with the sunshine. I fell in love with the light. I fell in love with the full moon. I fell in love with the night. I can see the light again. I can see the light. You can see the life in him illuminate the night. I know the time is taking. A 365, that's a full rotation. I see you looking up. You know them constellations. Constantly gazing like house of praises. You get to praising.